Right now, at this very moment, there are two prices for silver. One price is real, one price is a narrative, and if you don't understand the difference in the next 20 minutes, you're going to make the same mistake most people always make in macro transitions. You'll look at the screen price and assume you understand the market. You don't, because what's happening in silver right now isn't a rally, it's a breakdown in price discovery, and when price discovery breaks, it's not about charts anymore, it's about who gets the asset, and who gets stuck holding paper. Let me show you the thing that should make your stomach drop. I'm looking at global silver pricing right now. COMEX in New York shows one number, but dealers in Dubai are selling physical silver at a completely different number. Japan has another number. Shanghai has another number. Same metal, same day, but the gap is not a few dollars. It's tens of dollars. We're talking about a divergence of 40% to 70% depending on location and availability that should not happen in an efficient global market unless the market isn't one market anymore. Unless we've split into paper silver and physical silver, and one of them is starting to fail. Welcome to the real game, because from here forward, the question isn't what is silver's price. The question is, can you actually get silver at the price you're being shown? And the answer for a growing number of buyers is, no. Now, I'm Raoul Pal, and I've spent my entire career watching global liquidity, structural shifts, and the plumbing of markets. When I see a sustained, widening spread like this across continents, I don't see a trade, I see a system under strain. I see a market beginning to lose control, and I see a setup that historically leads to one outcome. The paper price eventually has to surrender to reality. Let's break it down, because once you understand this, you'll never look at silver the same way again. Here's the first thing you need to understand: the price you see on your phone is not the price of silver, it's the price of a promise. COMEX doesn't trade silver. COMEX trades contracts, pieces of paper, digital claims, agreements that say someone, somewhere will deliver silver later, if needed. But here's the dirty secret that keeps the whole thing alive. The system works only as long as almost nobody asks for delivery, and that's because the paper market is leveraged. In other words, for every 1 ounce of real silver in a vault, there are hundreds of ounces of paper claims being traded. Some estimates put it at 10021, others put it at 30021. The exact number isn't even the point. The point is the structure. It's fractional reserve silver. It's banking logic applied to commodities, and fractional systems survive only when confidence holds. So what happens when confidence breaks? People stop trusting paper. They start demanding metal, and then the whole thing starts to snap. That's exactly what's happening right now. In the first couple of weeks of January alone, tens of millions of ounces were withdrawn from COMEX vaults. Not traded, not rolled, withdrawn, taken out, removed from the system. That's not normal behavior. That is, I don't want your promise anymore. That is, give me the asset. And when enough people do that, the market goes from stable to violent very quickly. Now, here's the part that gets misunderstood. People hear hundreds of millions of ounces in vault inventory and think, oh, there's plenty of silver. No, because there are two categories inside that inventory: registered silver and eligible silver. Registered is the metal that is supposedly available for delivery against contracts. Eligible is metal sitting in the vault, but not for delivery. It's owned by someone. It's stored there, but it's not part of the delivery pool. And what's been happening is incredibly important. Registered inventory has been shrinking, meaning the deliverable silver is disappearing. The owners are pulling it out, or refusing to make it available. Translation: the holders of real silver don't want to sell at this price. They're waiting, they're watching, because they know something most people don't. In a physical squeeze, the next price is not incremental, it's discontinuous. It gaps, it resets. Now zoom out. Global silver demand is massive. Over 1 billion ounces a year, and global supply is not keeping up. We've been running structural deficits, not small deficits, large ones, meaning the world has been consuming more silver than it produces. So where does the missing silver come from? Stockpiles, vaults, reserves built over decades. And those reserves are not infinite. They are being depleted, slowly. Then suddenly, and that's how all commodity squeezes work, nothing happens for years, then everything happens at once. Now let's talk about the real driver behind this. It's not retail investors, it's not people buying coins for fun, it's industry. Silver isn't just a monetary metal, it's a strategic industrial input, and unlike gold, industrial silver gets consumed and disappears. Solar panels, electric vehicles, charging infrastructure, AI data centers, medical equipment, 5 grams, defense systems, electronics. Silver is everywhere, and here's the key macro point. This demand is inelastic, meaning these industries buy silver regardless of price, because they cannot function without it. Apple can't just remove silver from the supply chain because it got expensive. Tesla can't just redesign physics. Solar companies can't just use less conductivity. So if silver goes to 200, they still buy it. If it goes to 500, they still buy it. They adjust margins, they raise prices, but they still buy the metal. Meanwhile, supply cannot respond quickly. Because most silver is a byproduct of other mining. You don't mine more silver on command. You mine copper, lead, zinc. And silver is produced as a secondary output, and opening new mines takes years, 7 years, 10 years, sometimes more. So demand is locked in. Supply is rigid. Inventories are draining. Paper claims are massive. This is a textbook setup for a repricing event. Now let's talk about something most people ignore: arbitrage in a normal market. If silver is cheap in New York and expensive in Dubai, traders would buy low, ship it, sell high, the gap would close. That's how global pricing stays aligned. So why isn't that happening? Why is the gap widening instead of closing? Because the arbitrage is failing at the most important step, the buy low and take delivery part. If you can't reliably take delivery, you can't arbitrage, and if you can't arbitrage, paper price becomes a disconnected fiction. The physical market becomes the truth. That's the split. That's the regime change. That's what we're watching in real time. Now, let's talk about the banks, because this is where it gets dangerous. Bullion banks have historically run large short positions in silver. What does that mean? It means they have sold silver they don't own, promised delivery they don't have. They're betting they can roll contracts forever and never face delivery pressure. This works. Until it doesn't. And when it doesn't, their losses are not a bad quarter. They're systemic, because the paper market isn't just simple futures. It's layered with derivatives, swaps, hedges, collateral chains, cross-asset exposures. So a disorderly move in silver can stress funding markets. And that is why you see emergency behavior, margin changes, liquidity injections. Sudden overnight actions that don't get explained, because the goal is always the same: keep the machine running, prevent a delivery cascade, stop the panic. Now here are 2 indicators that show you the real stress. First, lease rates. Lease rates are what someone pays to borrow physical silver. In normal times, they're tiny, 1%, 2%, but during stress, they explode, because it means people are scrambling for metal, and we've seen lease rates spike dramatically. That's not speculation, that's not sentiment, that's physical scarcity screaming through the plumbing. Second, backwardation. In a healthy commodity market, futures cost more than spot because storage costs money. But when spot costs more than the future, it means the market is desperate for metal now. It means people are paying a premium for immediacy because they don't trust the future supply. Backwardation is a warning sign. It's the market saying, deliver it now, or don't bother. Now here's the simplest way to explain everything you've just heard. The paper price of silver is the price of leverage. It's the price of contracts. It's the price of financial engineering. The physical price of silver is the price of reality. It's what it costs to actually obtain metal, and when those 2 prices diverge, something has to give, because they cannot stay separated forever. Either, option 1, the paper price rises to meet physical, a slow surrender, a controlled repricing, or option 2, the paper market breaks, force majeure, cash settlement, delivery failures, and then the market admits, indirectly, that paper silver isn't silver. It's a claim, and claims are only valuable when they can be honored. Either way, the direction of travel is the same: physical wins. Now let's talk about the part people get wrong. They assume $100 silver means the move is done. No, this is what markets look like near the beginning of a structural repricing. Because the move isn't driven by enthusiasm, it's driven by necessity, and necessity doesn't stop at round numbers. Now look at the gold to silver ratio in major precious metals bull markets. The ratio compresses, silver tends to outperform. If the ratio compresses even moderately, silver has a lot more upside without gold doing anything. And if gold moves higher too, you get a reflexive cycle, a feedback loop: more demand, less supply, more fear, more scarcity, more premiums, more divergence, until there's a reset. Now let's get practical. If you're buying silver in this environment, you need to understand something. You're not buying a price, you're buying access, and access has a cost. That cost is the premium. People complain about premiums. They say, why am I paying over spot? Because spot is not real. Spot is the paper narrative. The premium is the market's way of telling you the truth. The premium is scarcity made visible. So if you want real exposure, you want physical, allocated, verified, something you can actually own, not a claim on a promise. And if you already own silver, the most important thing isn't timing the top. It's knowing what you own, because the point of a real asset in a monetary transition isn't to trade it like a meme coin. It's to hold the thing that survives the reset. So here's the bottom line. We're watching a regime change. We're watching the split between paper and physical become too wide, too hide. We're watching structural deficits collide with inelastic industrial demand. We're watching inventory drain. We're watching the arbitrage mechanism fail. And that means silver is no longer just a commodity trade. It's a stress test of the financial system's credibility, and in that kind of environment, the asset that matters is the one you can actually take possession of, the one with no counterparty risk, the one that doesn't require belief. That's the game, that's what's happening, and most people will not realize it until it's too late. They will look at the screen price, they will feel safe, and then one day they'll try to buy. And discover they can't, or they'll try to redeem. And discover they don't own what they thought they owned. This is how wealth transfers happen, quietly, then suddenly. The people who understood the plumbing early win. The people who relied on the narrative lose, and the window for understanding is closing fast, because once the crowd catches on, premiums go vertical, availability disappears, and the entire conversation changes from price to scarcity. That's the moment everything resets, and we're closer to that moment than most people think. This is not financial advice, it's macro reality. Decide accordingly, and decide while the door is still open.